Hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I wanted to do a special video today. I wanted to talk about my own personal awakening journey. I wanted to explore what it's been like for me to awaken and what are the different stages of awakening that I have witnessed, so that it might give you a deeper understanding of what you might be going through and how that pertains to your awakening journey. Because don't we find ourselves so often in a place where we feel like there's something wrong in what we're experiencing, and yet when we pull back the curtain, it's actually a deeper layer of our awakening, and it's actually exactly meant to be the way it is. Um, the idea or the notion that things how they are right now isn't how they should be is one of the greatest traps on the spiritual path. And some teachings can really easily flow into that, where we do perceive like that. And so I just want to share that whatever you're going through right now, whatever your unique awakening journey, it's exactly perfect the way it is. And yes, there are new things to realize. Yes, there's more to evolve into. Yes, there's biggerness to step into for yourself, potentially. But it's all part of your journey, and every moment offers a vital purpose if we can only see, if we can only notice, if we can only witness what it's really pointing to. So diving into my personal awakening journey, by the way, I would really appreciate, just to keep this channel alive, to build some momentum here on this channel, if you can drop a comment on your thoughts and your feedback, click the like button and subscribe so you're always up to date to my newest videos. I do usually share to my newsletter and on my Instagram, but it's easy to overlook. So if you're subscribed here, you're always going to get updates to when new videos are coming live. So and I appreciate that too, because it helps the momentum of this channel, so I can provide all these videos for you and serve your heart as much as I can. Now, getting into the grind of it, what's been my personal awakening journey and how would I describe it? And what I find so interesting about awakening, I'm like the greatest geek when it comes to awakening. It's I like to assess it and evaluate it from so many different angles, and really feel into the different levels of awakening, because I do think there's levels of awakening. And one of the greatest asset that we can have as spiritual beings is to stay open to the path always fluctuating and changing, to stay open and receptive that what brought us to this level of our awakening, what brought us to this level of our embodiment, might not be what we need to step into an even deeper level of embodiment, to step into our power even further. But that's hard to do sometimes when we are bombarded with spiritual teachings that are they seem so conclusive sometimes, right? And so it's really your inner guidance that is what you have to listen to really feel into what's needed one moment at a time, one season of life at a time, and to deepen in that exploration, right? And I'll tell you a little bit about my personal story, and it will make sense for you in a deeper way. It will put the pieces together. But I awakened, the first time I really had a spiritual awakening was in 2016. I went to this retreat experience from a teacher, but the teacher wasn't even there. It was like a community gathering. But just being in that presence of people doing spiritual practice, people believing in something, it opened the door, it opened the floodgates for me, so to say. Like from that moment forward, I could never look back. I had a real deep realization that the divine is real, that God is real, and that I'm part of something bigger, that I'm part of a bigger ecosystem. I felt a power that I never had felt before. I still remember we were doing some men's work. We were sitting around this bonfire, and the stick was going around, and everyone got the stick at one point and had to share something truthful and authentic and from themselves, basically. And I remember when I had that stick, I had such a vivid moment of feeling this profound energy and power channel through my head into my body. And it changed my voice, and I was saying things that felt channeled, like it wasn't me in some way, my personal self that was saying them. it was channeled by something bigger, my higher self, something deeper. Back then, I had no clue what was going on, but I just could feel, whoa, this is something powerful right here. And so I had that experience. And then I still remember after the retreat, I went, it was near Prague in Czech Republic. I went walk with a few friends that I had met there. We went, to walk through the city, and I felt this profound bliss and ecstasy in my heart in a way that I had never, ever felt before. It was a moment of shock for me because I suddenly felt so much profound happiness and joy in my heart in a way that I never even thought was possible. And it exploded my heart in a way I couldn't take it. It was so intense. I remember looking at the river. There was a bridge there. I was looking at the river, and there were ducks and certain animals. I think an otter we saw, and it was the most pristine, beautiful. Just it showed me that when we're really present to the moment, the absolute magicness and the absolute beauty and meaning in every moment, and how profound it actually is, which we overlook when we're kind of in the day to day, right, doing our things in motion. It's easy to overlook the pristineness of each moment, but in that moment, I could so palpably feel it. So that was my first spiritual awakening, and that led me to a journey of just being a little bit ungrounded. I'll be honest with you. After that, I distanced myself from the normal quote unquote way of being, and I explored all these spiritual books and concepts and ideas. I joined a different community, which ended up being a cult, by the way. By the way, if you're ever in a community where everyone believes the same thing and you can't you can't believe anything else, just be careful there because it could be a cult. A cult is really when everyone is just having the same mindset, the same beliefs, the same thoughts. Everything is referenced in this language that is the same, right? And if you were to talk to an outsider in that language, they'd be like, "What's going on?" Right? But if you're in that community, everyone just talks in that language. It's like the greatest thing until it isn't, until it all collapses, until it all falls apart, and you see through the whole Kool-Aid that you've just been drinking, right? And so I think that happens a lot in our awakening, and maybe you can relate to that. Is we have this experience, this deep awakening experience, and then we go a little bit overboard. Like we really dive in, we really explore, and we create what I call a spiritual ego. I mean, it's not. I didn't coin that term, by the way, but but it's just a spiritual ego, right? It's like a spiritual ego. How to define a spiritual ego is um, everything is referenced through spiritual ideas, right? You have this spiritual identity now. You're wearing a spiritual cloak, the spiritual language, right? That everything is just referenced through spiritual concepts and ideas, but you're not actually grounded in beingness. You're not actually fully grounded in presence. Because when you're grounded in presence and beingness, which is, I will talk about that, it's the later stages of awakening, you don't need to have all these concepts. You kind of see through concepts and spiritual ideas. It's just about beingness. And then the truth of each moment will reveal itself to you the moment it's meant to reveal itself. But concepts become more and more less, or less and less interesting. Whereas when we're in our spiritual ego, we learn all these spiritual things, we read all these books, and we take them on, and now that's our identity, right? But then we're in a spiritually themed identity. And that's what I was in so much. Thinking back in like 2017, 2018, I think it was 2018, end of 2019, that I started to wake up out of it. And it's been a few year journey to really wake up out of it because it's difficult. And that's what I call the conceptual awakening stage. Is you awaken to spiritual concepts. You have some experience here and there. You meditate, you feel the depth, but then you walk around your life kind of still like hiding in a spiritual self-image, right? And I did that 100%. Certain judgments towards people not spiritual can arise, right? um, and it's really this energy. As you wake up out of the spiritual ego, it's so easy to spot. When you're in it, you don't think you're in a spiritual ego, which is the tricky thing, right? But when you actually woke up out of it, and you are more just being the presence and the witness, and more, you've kind of come back into your body. You're more grounded now. You see people in their spiritual ego, and yeah, you can just see sometimes they're really on the Kool-Aid. Their share everything is just spiritually themed, right? You don't even feel people are connecting to you. They're connecting to ideas in themselves and then sharing them with you, right? That's one of the main ways you can spot that. And I say that with love and with compassion, with absolute understanding, because I have been in that phase, and that was a really challenging phase to wake up out of. And so anyone that finds themselves in some way in their spiritual ego, and I'm still, I still have a spiritual ego. I'm just more aware of it now, and kind of it's at a distance in a way. But we all have that tendency, that notion of when we become real deep spiritual seekers, our ego clings onto concepts and spiritual identities. So it's nothing unusual and normal, but to be able to spot that in yourself is one of the main ways that you're actually gonna reach your highest spiritual potential. And it can be hard to spot. I actually received guidance from someone that lovingly reflected that to me, and it made me question things. And then over time, as I woke up more into presence, which is the presence of our true nature, our beingness, which is what animates me speaking right now, what animates you listening, what is the underlying presence, right? That thread of that field of consciousness. That's who you actually are, right? And as consciousness, you don't have an identity in that sense. You don't have an identity of I am this, right? When we're in our spiritual ego, we have this I am the creator of my life, right? All these concepts. I manifested this, right? It's like everything that happens in life, and you see that your concepts go there, and you're like, oh yeah, this is that. It's like you become this spiritual know-it-all, where a true enlightened being is actually the opposite of that. You actually don't know anything. You're more curious, you're open. And yes, in moments you'll receive an intuitive hit or download like, oh yeah, this is what this is right now. But you're more open and receptive to the dynamicness and fluidity of the moment, right? You're not so conclusive. And a spiritual ego is very conclusive in their beliefs. And so we have to be careful there. We have to be careful to not make spiritual teaching into something ultimate, right? Into something, this is always true. If something is always true in your mind, I mean, except the fact that your consciousness, that's always true, right? But, if something is always true in your mind as a thought, as like a fixed thing, be careful there. Be more open, be more gentle around that. Don't hold too tightly onto these beliefs, right? Um, but yeah, so 2018, 2019 was when I started to kind of begin to see through that. But it was a journey. And in order to really wake up out of the spiritual ego, you really need to come back to your body. And to come back to your body means facing deep feelings, facing confusion, going through a dark night of the soul kind of experience where nothing's working out. Do you know why nothing's working out in that phase? Because life wants to wake you up out of these concepts and ideas that you have about how life should work. And it just tumbles you and tumbles you. Nothing's working out. Why? So you can wake up out of these concepts. You can wake up out of these ideas of, let's say, the law of attraction. Oh, like I'm manifesting this, or this is happening because of this, or all these superstitious thoughts. Life wants to wake you up out of that into your true presence, into your true power. And in order to do that, dark night of the soul is often what happens. And that's what I went through from 2019, I would say, to all the way to, I mean, yeah, to 2022. And then, still aspects of 2023 were very difficult for me. I went through a lot of grief. Um, and I'm saying that is that if you're going through a challenging life situation or challenging feelings, it's often just your awakening, and you're needing to process things, you're needing to transmute things, you're needing to face things, you're needing to wake up out of your concepts. So life is exactly that helps you wake up out of that, right? So anything you're going through right now is a divine moment orchestrated in your highest favor to help you become who you're born to be, your destiny, your divine destiny, right? That you cannot miss out on. But that was my journey. Is first, you have an awakening. I think that's kind of the stages. You have an awakening. You start realizing, okay, I'm part of something bigger. God's real, or whatever you want to say. And you enjoy it for a while. You're like, you get high on that sauce. You're like, oh yeah, I'm the creator now and I can create anything I want. You get high of the source and it ungrounds you. In the beginning, it's fun, but then it becomes so ungrounding. And then life is like, all right, my friend, you've had enough of this. And that's when the dark night of the soul begins, right? So a lot of people that are really hopped up on the law of attraction or manifestation teachings, maybe that it's working for them, they're having a lot of success. If you create your self-image now in that construct of like, I am the creator, I created all this, blah, 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 life wants to wake you up out of that at some point. And the hope is that it happens sooner rather than later, that you don't spend 10 years being in that mindset, that you actually go through dark night of the soul quite quickly. You realize, okay, this is not the deepest truth. Show me the deepest truth, life. And life is goes, okay, face all of this crap, right? That's literally how it is. At least that's how it was for me. And I know speaking with others, it's there's some similarity there for a lot of our journeys. But what's interesting is the more I started to wake up out of the spiritual ego, the deeper I woke into presence. And awakening into presence for me is the next stage, which is actually the real awakening, the real spiritual awakening. The real spiritual awakening is awakening to that you are the spiritual reality within and throughout. But it's not this like egoic, like, oh, I'm God, and now I get to create everything I want. It doesn't work like that. You're still surrendered to something bigger. As the person you are, you're still surrendered to the divine, right? It's not like you can hack into the universe, create whatever you want. You're always going to manifest exactly what you need at each point of your journey, right? But awakening into presence is this realization that you're so much more than just your person. And your identity kind of becomes more fluid here. And what I mean by that is that you see through your self-image, right? Which is, I am this person, I have this job, I am this, I'm good at this, I'm bad at this, right? All these ideas of like how we've defined ourselves. True awakening is actually waking up out of all of that and going, holy crap, I don't know anything about myself. I'm an invisible presence that's everywhere and nowhere all at once. I am that consciousness. I am that being. Everyone is that being. Every human being I've ever met is that consciousness. We all share that. We're one in that. And that's what you awaken to. So you awaken to unity more. You awaken to oneness more. And you can really start, as you awaken more into that, you start feeling into the field around you, right? Like if you're just moving through your everyday life, you are more rooted in that presence and you start feeling into the field. You can feel into another's heart and feel that there's a unity there, right? That there's a connection there, that there's a oneness there. And in that awakening, it's difficult too. I went through nights and nights where I was crying my balls out because it felt like I was dying, right? It felt like me as a person was dying. I didn't matter, right? The only thing that mattered is the presence within me. But that was how my ego interpreted that, right? It's not actually ultimately how it is you always matter, right? You as an individual, even though you are an expression of the divine, a vehicle of the divine, you always matter. You have a purpose, right? You matter so deeply. The divine loves you, needs you in this world, right? But you do wake up out of the sense that everything's about you, that life's about you, because it's not, because you're just a puzzle piece in the infinite divine universe, right? And so I want to speak to that awakening, because that is what I teach. And if you go on my social media, watch my YouTube videos, I speak a lot about the divine and the divine presence, because I want you more than anything to wake up to that true nature of yourself, because it's waking up to that which really changes the spiritual journey. And it provides you with a profound sense of relief. It's not all on you. It provides you with a deeper stability and centeredness, where your emotions and feelings might be all over the place, but there's a rootedness there in presence, because you know that that is you. Everything that you're feeling, everything you're thinking is arising within you. you are actually indestructible. You are untouchable. There's an untouchable essence, which is you. And for me, that's been the most profound, life-changing awakening, to awaken to that unchanging presence. And it's a profound piece that integrates into your life. And so the awakening of presence it goes in stages, in the sense of you awaken to it, and then you kind of forget about it. You awaken to it, forget about it. And then more and more, it just becomes more consistent, right? It's like it ripens in you. And then more and more, it's just there. Like you don't lose it anymore, right? In the beginning, it's like you have this awakening experience. Oh my God, I'm the divine. The divine's within me. And then you just go back to normal and you're like, oh, okay, that was an experience. Let me live my life. At some point, you have more and more of these awakenings, they integrate. And that's what I help with in my work, to help people integrate that awakening. It just becomes more of a stable, abiding realization within you. As something that you just know so deeply, as intimately as you know that your name is, that my name is Henry, that your name is whatever your name is, right? And so that is the awakening of presence. So you go from having the high experience, awakening, you go on this high, you become ungrounded. The conceptual awakening begins. You awaken to all these concepts and these ideas, and you have some experience, you embody it in some way, but hasn't really fully settled there. You're not fully living as your presence. And then comes the awakening into presence, which is a journey in itself, right? It comes in and out, comes in and out, comes in and out, but over time deepens, over time deepens, over time deepens. And now, as we've awakened to presence, it's about integration and embodiment. Integration is, how do I integrate this profound reality that I am into my everyday life? How do I live with that, integrate it into a way where I can become the living embodiment of my soul, where I can become the living embodiment of my highest destiny, where I can become empowered, liberated, and free. And the integration process for me has been a lot about actually re-exploring your authentic self. Like, what feels like you? What gives you joy? What do you not like? What feels authentic to you? What do you have the capacity for, right? A lot of people believe when you awaken into spirit or into presence, you become this like unlimited kind of being. But it's not true, because you have limits as a person. And the integration journey is really about having a relationship with your awakened presence, but also honoring your person and your personal limits and who you are as a person, right? You can't, and I've learned this the hard way all the last few years, you can't outrun the person and its needs and its capacity. I tried that. Like, I was like diving into presence so deeply. I was like, I want this. I want this. And so I'm just going to, like, even though my body's like, oh, I can't do it. It's like, I just don't have the capacity for it. No, I'm not the body. I'm the deepest presence. Like, I'm that. So I went for that. And over again, I was brought back. I was humbled. I was brought to my knees. You can't outrun the body. You can't outrun your capacity. You can't outrun your nervous system, no matter how much you've awakened. And that's a humbling journey. And that's the journey of integration, right? And so integration is such an important part of it. And it's integrating this awake presence as a lived experience back into our personality. So we become the embodiment of presence. We become the embodiment of spirit. And through that, we have to heal our wounds, face our wounds in a deeper way, right? All the ways in which we're holding back on a personal level, we get to face that. And it's this meeting of our limits, of our capacity. It's building a more honoring, loving relationship with our nervous system, ourselves. Yeah, it's a very humbling journey. And for me, I'm still exploring that integration piece, because for me, it's always a matter of, okay, I've realized that I am the presence of the divine that resides in everyone. We all are that. We're one in that, my brother or sister. You're watching right now. We're one in that. I see you. We realize that, but then how do we live it? And there's some people that choose to just kind of meditate their life away somewhere in an ashram and just, But I actually think that's not the deepest, most mature path, because we're here to be ourselves and express ourselves and actually shine the light of divinity as we've awakened to it. We're here energetically to shine that light out into the world through our own unique way. And this is where finding yourself and what feels like you and what feels joyful and what feels alive in you get to explore, right? And I'm still on that journey. All honesty, for the last few years, that's been really tough for me. It's like I was always like, dang, like, so I awaken to this presence now. I feel profound peace. I feel it is integrated, but I still don't know who I am as a person. And that was a real dilemma for me. That was a real search for me. Like, who am I as a person? I have no freaking clue, because you before awakening, you're kind of this personality, this identity, who you are. Then awakening happens, and it's like it sweeps it all off the floor, and then you're just kind of left empty, like, who the fuck am I don't know. All right. But then it all comes back, right? And it's the journey of actually finding what resonates with you, what feels like you, what what feels like you. And we need to heal, some parts of our inner child that have where we have suppressed our joy, where we have maybe held back or were suppressed because we're, somehow overpowered when we were in our most joyful state. So it's really coming back to joy and to playfulness, right? The integration part and our authentic nature, not taking life too seriously, because we know deep down we're the presence, we're ultimately safe, we're absolutely safe. But then it's like becoming more playful, right, in our own experience, and opening our heart more in the sense of like where we're still holding back, where we're still afraid, and really like moving and kind of finding all our edges, or finding all the things where we're hiding still a little bit, and shining light to that and stepping into that in a deeper way, right? And that requires work with our nervous system, requires work with ourselves in the sense of, there's a lot that comes up in that phase of integration. And so it's holding space for what comes up, and being a loving companion, using your presence to be a loving companion for that. And then with integration, it's about embodiment, right? It's like, how do I embody my presence? How do I embody, meaning I bring it all back into my body, into my lived experience, and I penetrate this world with my depth. I penetrate this world with my wisdom. I penetrate this world with my love. I penetrate this world with my consciousness. I haven't just awakened to something to then not use it as a gift. I use it as a gift and ultimately the gift is waking up to the divine, is I am one with all that is. I'm one with all beings. Feeling into that unity, serving that unity, you begin to really be inspired to serve that one that you are, that one that we all are, that unity, that being, that consciousness. You want to serve that because it is who you are. Why wouldn't you want to serve your true nature? Why wouldn't you give back for everything you've been given, for what you've been giving as part of awakening to your true nature? There's so much we're being given in this life. Even though we're going through maybe really challenging experiences, as the consciousness you are, it is so infinitely curious to just experience life. So we're given life to witness and experience life in all its flavors, colors, nuances. And so that is a gift that we've been given. And at some point with deeper integration, we want to give back for what we've been given by helping other beings wake up to the divine in them. At least that's my deepest inspiration. And I really feel into it, like, what am I here to do? Well, I've awakened to the realization that I am that divine being that we all are. And that's been so delicious and beautiful and powerful and peaceful and just life-changing. I want other people to realize and to know that they're the divine. I want other people to feel that the divine is alive in them right now, not once they finish their spiritual quest or all their quests, but that awakening is like, you are already it. I want people to awaken to that because it fills you with a sense of knowing and confidence and safety that you can't find that safety in the external world. So I hope this was helpful for you, that you got something away from this, that it's going to support you in your personal awakening journey. Maybe make sense of all these different confusing experiences a little bit more. And if you're feeling like you could use extra support, if you're feeling like a support system for you to navigate the confusing and sometimes challenging phases of awakening and integration and embodiment, and you would like to truly unleash more of yourself into the world, become more liberated and empowered, more rooted in this deep, peaceful experience of presence, then I do want to offer you the opportunity of doing one-on-one coaching with me, which I currently have spaces available for. If you're interested in that, please go to my website, henrynaraki.com/coaching, and apply there, and I will get back to you to see if that is a potential fit. Sending you so much love for your day, for your week, and may you be blessed.